Oops, the narcissist just realized their mistake, but you're gone forever from their life. How often do we hear the phrase, "It's too late now"? And yet, when it comes to a narcissist, that moment seems to hold so much more weight. It's a hard truth to swallow, but imagine this. After years of manipulation, gaslighting, and emotional turmoil, the narcissist suddenly realizes their mistake. The reality hits them. You're really gone, and there's nothing they can do to fix it. Their entire narrative, their control, and the games they've played fall apart as they grasp at the air where you used to be. But here's the thing. For you, this realization is long overdue. In this article, we will dive deep into what happens when the narcissist finally wakes up to the consequences of their actions. We'll explore how they come to this understanding, how they cope with it, and most importantly, why it's too late for them to reverse the damage. But more importantly, we'll talk about why you remain the one who truly wins in the end. You might have thought that when the narcissist finally realized their mistake, there might have been a glimmer of hope for reconciliation. But in reality, by the time they see it, your absence is final. This piece will shed light on why their regret is too little, too late, and why your decision to leave was ultimately the best choice for your peace of mind and future. Stick around, because what we discussed today could be the confirmation you need that walking away was the right call. Before we get started, make sure to subscribe to our channel, like this video, and share it with others who might find this message empowering. Together, we can explore the complex behavior of narcissists and how we can take back control of our lives. So, let's dive in and explore what truly happens when a narcissist starts to realize that they've made a mistake. You'd think that after all the gaslighting, manipulation, and emotional abuse they've put you through, they would immediately recognize the severity of their actions and come to some kind of understanding about the damage they've caused. But that's not how narcissists operate. In reality, narcissists are deeply resistant to self-awareness and are not designed to acknowledge their flaws, let alone admit when they've hurt someone else. Their inflated sense of self-importance and superiority clouds their judgment so thoroughly that they are often completely blind to the consequences of their behavior until it's far too late. At the beginning of your emotional detachment, the narcissist will often pretend like nothing is happening, dismissing your withdrawal as insignificant. They think that you'll just come back, that you'll eventually give in to their demands, and that everything will go back to the way it was. In their mind, they are the center of your world, and their egocentric view leads them to believe that you will always be there to serve their needs, no matter how badly they treat you. This sense of entitlement makes them incredibly short-sighted and prevents them from recognizing the true extent of your emotional pain. But as time goes on, and you continue to distance yourself from them, something begins to shift in their mind. It's not a sudden burst of empathy or a flood of remorse, because narcissists are incapable of genuine self-reflection or real emotional growth. Instead, it's a gradual and unsettling awareness that their control over you is slipping away. For the first time, they are confronted with the reality that their usual methods of manipulation are no longer working. They realize that their influence over your thoughts, emotions, and decisions is evaporating, leaving them feeling vulnerable and powerless in a way that they've never experienced before. Now, this sense of powerlessness is something that a narcissist simply cannot tolerate. They are driven by an unrelenting need to dominate, control, and be admired by others. Their entire sense of self-worth is wrapped up in their ability to manipulate and subjugate those around them. The idea that they could lose their grip on you shakes the very foundation of their fragile world. It's a blow to their carefully constructed image of superiority and invincibility. In response, They may attempt to re-establish control through various maneuvering tactics. These could include offering fake apologies, promising to change, or playing the victim card, trying to invoke your sympathy. However, the reality is, you're no longer falling for any of it. You've seen through their lies and deception, and your decision to leave wasn't made lightly. It was a conscious, well-thought-out decision that came from a deep understanding of the toxic nature of the relationship. You're no longer the one who needs convincing or manipulation. It is now the narcissist who is desperately scrambling to regain the control and emotional supply that they have lost. As days turn into weeks without you in their life, the narcissist will start to feel the sting of isolation. Their ego, which once thrived on your constant attention, admiration, and emotional energy, begins to wither. This process of feeling emotionally abandoned is extremely unsettling for them. They might try to place all the blame on you, accusing you of being selfish, cold-hearted, or abandoning them without reason. They may project their own insecurities onto you, twisting the narrative to make you seem like the villain. But underneath all their bravado, their defenses start to crack. There's a growing sense of panic that begins to take root. The realization that you're really gone, that this isn't just another temporary separation or a petty argument that will blow over, sets in. This time, it's different. It's not just an empty threat. This is the end of the road for them. They can no longer control you, and the consequences of their own actions are finally catching up with them in a way they cannot deny. The emotional shift they experience during this time is both unsettling and humiliating for them. They may lash out with even more intensity, trying to manipulate you back into their grip. But deep down, they know that their influence over you is slipping away for good. This loss of control is more than just an inconvenience for a narcissist. It's a direct assault on their self-image and their sense of power. The more you resist their advances, the more desperate they become to reassert their dominance and to get back the validation they've been deprived of. But as long as you remain resolute in your decision to walk away, you continue to expose their true nature and remind them that their control over others is not as secure as they once thought. But here's the real kicker. The narcissist's regret, when it finally hits, comes far too late to matter. By the time they begin to comprehend how badly they've messed up, you've already moved on. You've healed from the emotional scars they left behind, you've grown stronger, and you've embraced the importance of self-love, self-care, and setting firm boundaries. You've taken back control over your life, your emotional well-being, and your sense of self-worth. Their delayed realization that they'd lost you doesn't suddenly give them power over your life anymore. It's too little too late. You are no longer within their reach, and they have no means of undoing the damage they've caused. They are left with the consequences of their own actions, unable to fix what's broken or restore the dynamic they once had with you. The narcissist might try to find ways to fill the void you've left behind, but no matter how hard they try, it won't be the same. They may seek out new sources of validation, new relationships, or even return to old sources of supply, but the truth is, no one can replace you. They may pretend that they've moved on, that they've found someone else who can meet their needs, but deep down, the narcissist knows that they will never find a replacement that matches the emotional depth, connection, and supply you provided. You were irreplaceable in their world, not because of anything extraordinary you did, but because of the simple truth that you walked away with your dignity intact. You took your self-respect and your emotional strength with you, and that is something they cannot recreate with anyone else. What makes their regret even more potent, and also more frustrating for them, is the fact that the narcissist doesn't know how to handle the consequences of their actions. They have absolutely no idea how to process or deal with genuine remorse, because their entire world revolves around manipulation, deceit, and maintaining control over others. Genuine remorse would require them to be vulnerable, to face the truth of their behavior, to take accountability for the pain they've caused, and ultimately to change. But those are qualities that narcissists simply aren't capable of. They are too deeply entrenched in their self-absorbed, egotistical mindset to allow themselves to truly confront their own shortcomings. So, even in the face of their regret, they will continue to cling to the same toxic narrative that they've always used to justify their behavior. They will still insist that you are the one who left, that you made the choice to walk away, and in doing so, they absolve themselves of any real responsibility for the destruction they caused. They will continue to play the victim in their own story, shifting the blame onto you, even though the reality is that they are the ones who created the conditions that led to the relationship's demise. But let's be clear about something. This is the price they pay for their behavior. While they might eventually realize that they've made a mistake, and that losing you has left a hole in their life, they will never truly learn from it. Narcissists, by their very nature, are not capable of genuine personal growth or self-reflection. They may regret losing you, but that regret will never go beyond a superficial, self-serving level. They will never truly acknowledge why they lost you in the first place. The reasons for your departure, such as their emotional abuse, manipulation, or complete disregard for your needs, will remain outside of their comprehension. This is what makes their regret so hollow and ultimately meaningless. It's empty because they are incapable of understanding the real issue, and as a result, it cannot bring about any meaningful change in their behavior or their ability to form healthier, more authentic connections in the future. In the end, the narcissist's regret is little more than a fleeting and empty realization. It may seem like they've learned something, but in truth, it's just a momentary lapse in their self-delusion. They might regret losing you, but they'll never truly grasp the full depth of their own failure. And even if they do, they'll quickly dismiss it and move on to the next person, repeating the same patterns. This is the cycle of narcissism. They'll always regret losing what they had, but they'll never learn from it or change. So, what have we learned from all of this? When a narcissist realizes their mistake, it's often too late for them to undo the damage they've caused. Their regret is hollow, and their attempts to win you back are rooted in selfishness rather than a true desire for growth or reconciliation. The best thing you can do is stand firm in your decision to leave. You've made the right choice by walking away from a relationship that was built on manipulation and control. Thank you for joining me in this exploration of narcissistic behavior. I hope this article has shed some light on the reality of dealing with narcissists and the liberation that comes with walking away. If you found this discussion helpful, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel. And remember, you deserve peace, love, and respect. Never settle for less. Trapped in their own ego, the hidden agony of narcissists. Hello everyone. Welcome back to the Narcissist Exposed channel, and thank you for joining me today. Today's topic is a deep dive into something that might surprise you, the hidden agony of narcissists. Yes, you heard that right. Beneath that seemingly impenetrable armor of arrogance and self-importance lies a world of pain that most of us would never imagine. Despite their outward confidence and grandiosity, narcissists are often trapped in their own egos, suffering in ways that even they might not fully understand. So, if you've ever wondered what really goes on behind that facade, stay tuned. We're about to uncover the truth about the secret torment that narcissists endure every single day. To start, we need to understand what it means to be a narcissist. It's easy to label someone as a narcissist because they seem arrogant, selfish, or manipulative, but genuine narcissism runs much deeper than just being a self-centered person. Narcissistic personality disorder, NPD, is a real psychological condition that involves a distorted sense of self-importance, a need for excessive admiration, and a lack of empathy for others. But what many people don't realize is that behind this grandiose exterior lies a fragile, wounded ego. You see, the narcissist's sense of self is like a balloon filled with air. It looks big, intimidating, and larger than life, but it's incredibly fragile and vulnerable to being punctured. This is because narcissists don't truly believe in their own worth. Instead, they rely on external validation to maintain their inflated sense of self. Every compliment, every word of praise, and every ounce of admiration acts as air that keeps their ego afloat. But what happens when that praise isn't there? What happens when the world isn't feeding them the attention they so desperately crave? That's where the agony begins. Narcissists are constantly haunted by the fear of being exposed as ordinary, inadequate, or unworthy. It's a fear that gnaws at them from the inside, a fear that they spend every waking moment trying to escape. This is why they're so obsessed with controlling how others perceive them, because, deep down, they don't feel like they're enough. It's a truth that they refuse to face, so they build a wall of arrogance and superiority to keep it at bay. But here's the thing, no matter how high or thick that wall is, they're still trapped inside, unable to escape their insecurities. Imagine living your entire life in a prison of your own making, where you're constantly chasing after validation, but never feeling truly satisfied. That's the reality for a narcissist. They need to be admired, adored, and seen as special. But no matter how much attention they receive, it's never enough. It's like trying to quench an unending thirst with a drop of water. The more they consume, the thirstier they become. And the saddest part, they don't even realize that they're the ones trapping themselves in this cycle of pain. Now, you might be wondering, if narcissists are in so much pain, why don't they just change? Well, that's easier said than done. The narcissist's entire identity is built around their inflated sense of self. Admitting that they're flawed or that they need to change is akin to tearing down everything they've built. It's terrifying for them, and so they cling even more desperately to their false sense of superiority, hoping that it will shield them from the truth. This is why they lash out when criticized, or when someone threatens to expose their weaknesses. They're not just defending their ego, they're defending their very sense of existence. But here's the thing, the more they try to protect themselves, the more isolated they become. Narcissists push people away with their arrogance, their need to control, and their lack of empathy. They drive away the very people who could help them see their worth beyond their achievements or appearance. This isolation only serves to deepen their pain, making them feel even more unworthy, and the cycle continues. It's a tragic irony that in their quest to be seen as extraordinary, they end up feeling more alone than ever. The hidden agony of narcissists also stems from their inability to experience genuine, fulfilling connections with others. You see, narcissists view relationships as a means to an end. They seek out people who can provide them with the admiration and validation they crave, but they're incapable of giving that same level of love and support in return. It's not because they don't want to. Many narcissists do want to feel loved and appreciated, but they simply don't know how to connect on a deeper, more authentic level. Their focus is always on themselves, on how others perceive them, and on maintaining their fragile sense of superiority. This makes it impossible for them to experience the joy and fulfillment that comes from truly connecting with another human being. In moments of vulnerability, when they're alone, when the applause has faded, and when there's no one left to validate their worth, the narcissist is confronted with a painful truth. They don't know who they really are. They spent so much time crafting a false persona, so much energy pretending to be someone they're not, that they'd lost touch with their true selves. And this realization is terrifying. It's like staring into a mirror and seeing a stranger staring back. It's a loneliness that runs deeper than any external isolation because it's a disconnection from their very essence. Many narcissists are haunted by a profound sense of emptiness, a void that they can't seem to fill no matter how hard they try. They achieve great things, they win the admiration of others, they surround themselves with people who adore them, and yet, it's never enough. The emptiness remains, gnawing at them, reminding them of the void they're trying so desperately to ignore. This is why they often engage in self-destructive behaviors, why they're constantly seeking out new sources of validation, and why they never seem to be satisfied with what they have. They're trying to fill a void that can never be filled because the problem isn't external, it's internal. One of the most heartbreaking aspects of the narcissist's hidden agony is that they often don't even realize they're in pain. They've convinced themselves that they're happy, that they're superior, that they're living their best life. But this is just another layer of the illusion they've created. Deep down, in those quiet moments when they're left alone with their thoughts, the truth seeps in. They're not happy. They're not fulfilled. They're not invincible. And this realization is almost unbearable, so they bury it even deeper, convincing themselves that they just need more success, more admiration, more control to feel complete. But here's the paradox. The very things they believe will make them happy, power, control, admiration, are the things that keep them trapped in their own agony. They've built their identity around an illusion, and as long as they cling to that illusion, they'll never find the peace and happiness they so desperately crave. It's a vicious cycle, one that many narcissists will spend their entire lives trapped in, never realizing that the key to their freedom lies not in external validation, but in accepting themselves as they truly are. As we reach the end of this discussion, I want to leave you with something to think about. It's easy to see narcissists as villains, as people who hurt others without a second thought. And yes, their behavior can be incredibly damaging, especially to those who get caught in their web. But it's also important to remember that beneath that exterior is a person who is deeply, profoundly wounded. A person who is trapped in a prison of their own making, desperately trying to escape, but not knowing how. It doesn't excuse their behavior, but it does help us understand why they act the way they do. Thank you so much for watching and for taking the time to explore this topic with me. I hope this has given you some insight into the hidden agony of narcissists and the pain that lies beneath their seemingly invincible facade. If you found this video helpful or thought-provoking, please give it a thumbs up. Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more deep dives into the complexities of human behavior. Remember, understanding is the first step toward compassion, for others and for ourselves. Take care, stay kind, and I'll see you in the next video.